Where's my notepad in this bitch? Alright, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm probably gonna be looking down at my notes a lot because I didn't prepare as much as I should have or could have. But also, I just have a lot of shit to say. And I knew I wasn't gonna memorize that shit. Yeah, so the first time I was introduced to the term empath was probably about 1.5 years ago. And at first, I thought the person was trying to insult me when they called me an empath, because I had no idea what the hell they were talking about. And then I did a little research. I looked into it and I was like, oh shit, I am an empath. This is so crazy. Like, I'm finding out something new about myself after 20 something years of being on this earth. So what exactly is an empath? An empath is a person who deeply feels the emotions and energy of others. Empaths can also pick up on the energy and places of environments. I feel like I've always been capable of doing that. But, you know, of course, when I was younger, I didn't know anything about being an empath or a highly sensitive person. I didn't know anything about any of that. But I've always been intuitive. I've always been able to go to a place and be able to say, as soon as I walk in a place, there's a lot of good energy, or there's a lot of negative energy, or simply there's just a lot of energy here that doesn't really correspond, I guess, relate to my energy, if that makes sense. Okay, so now I want to go a little deeper and go over the traits of being an empath. Just for those who are still unsure, hey, am I an empath or not? Like, what the hell does that even mean? Just for the people who are still a little unclear, people who I guess are unfamiliar with that term, I just, want to go over the traits of being an empath. Okay, so number 1, empaths are deeply affected by violence and cruelty. That's why a lot of empaths don't like to watch scary movies, including me, especially me. Even watching the news too much can deeply affect an empath in a negative way. And, people try to tell me like, oh, Kyla, you have to pay attention to the news and what's going on in the world so you can know because it affects you and blah, blah, blah. Just all this bullshit. And it's like, I hear you and that's cool. I'm still not going to pay attention just for the simple fact that I feel things too deeply and I'm too emotional of a person to be able to pay attention to that shit and not really get emotionally involved. So that's why I just try my best to just stay away. I just stay away. Number 2, empaths are very good at reading people. They're very intuitive. I am very good at reading people. I'm very good at picking up people's energy. And I wish I wasn't sometimes, because there's some things I really don't want to know about people. There's some things I really don't want to be able to read about people, but I am. And it's a gift and a curse. Number 3, empaths get very overwhelmed by big crowds. And this is due to the fact that they absorb other people's energy. So a lot of times empaths feel the need to drink, smoke weed, or even do hard drugs before going to somewhere like a festival or, an event where there's going to be a lot of people, pretty much to help block out all of the different energies. And I've experienced this a lot throughout my life, and I never understood what it was or what it meant. And now that I've finally understood, or I guess realized that I'm an empath, I'm like, oh, okay, it makes sense. Which brings me to my 4th point. Empaths are more prone to addictive behaviors, such as excessive drinking, excessive sex, excessive smoking weed, or doing hard drugs. And the reason for this is because they get overwhelmed by how deeply they feel things. So it's a way to pretty much distract themselves or numb themselves from their feelings and from all the fucked up shit that goes on in the world. Number 5, empaths are drawn to animals and animals are drawn to them.
Oh my gosh. Do y'all see this cat? This cat is in love with me. I don't understand why. I'm not doing anything. Oh my gosh, she likes me.
But yeah, there's been so many times where I went over to my friend's house and they have pets. And they'll say, my dog or my pet is usually not this friendly. Like, I don't know why they're so friendly with you. And I'll think to myself, it's because I'm an empath. Duh. Number 6, empaths are drawn to nature and have a very deep connection to nature. And that's the reason why, you know, in the wintertime when it's cold as fuck and it's like so much snow on the ground and, you know, I can't go on my little nature walks at Hoover, I get very, very distraught and upset. Because I'm a nature freak. I like to be outside. I like to, you know, smell fresh air. You know, I like to smell the trees. I like to smell, you know, the warmth. Obviously, I can't do that in the winter. So yeah, I get very, very depressed and distraught in the wintertime. I guess it's called seasonal depression. But yeah, and the reason why is because I'm an empath. And I feel very, very connected and close to, you know, nature. Number 7. Empaths are highly sensitive people. And not just when it comes to emotions and energy, but also when it comes to sounds, touch, smells. And even, you know, a sensitivity to light. I have a very, I guess, big sensitivity to light, and that's something that I, you know, recently had to realize about myself. Number 8, empaths really value their alone time because they get easily overwhelmed and drained by other people, especially if they're around people that live in a low vibration. Solitude is the only way for an empath to regroup and recharge themselves. So how do you protect yourself as an empath? Everybody's different. But I will say for myself, I've noticed that I have a sensitivity to light. And I can't really explain it. But what I will say, and I don't really know how I discovered this, but when I wear sunglasses or tinted shades, I don't know, I feel like it's a way to protect my energy. And it's probably due to the fact, I don't know, I guess when you wear sunglasses or when you wear glasses that have like a tint to them, I don't know, you see things a little differently than other people. I don't know, it's kind of like you're almost in your own little world. So that's something that I've noticed about myself that helps with my anxiety and me just being an empath. Whenever I go to parties or events or, you know, anywhere where there's a lot of people, I tend to wear glasses that, you know, are tinted. So I have these glasses. And I have these glasses, which are pretty much the same, but they're red. I love these glasses. I have some other glasses. I have these glasses, which are pink. You know, so they have a little bit of a tint to them, so it makes you feel like I'm in my own little world when I wear these. And then I also have like actual sunglasses. I have actual sunglasses. And I don't know, I just feel like, you know, fuck it, I dropped them. But I feel like if I'm wearing sunglasses or tinted glasses or whatever the case is, I don't know, it just makes me feel like I'm in my own little world and I can like kind of separate myself from people. And a lot of times people think I'm being Hollywood or being, stuck up or whatever the case is. And I don't really care, because I know what the truth is, and I know what the real is. And I know the reason why I'm wearing these shits is because I'm empath as fuck. And I'm really just trying to protect my energy. Another way to protect your energy as an empath, and I'm not really going to mention a lot of ways to protect yourself as an empath, because I really don't have a lot of ways. Maybe I will in the future. But these are just the things that I do to help myself. The number 2 way to protect yourself as an empath is to set boundaries with people. I feel like as empaths, we naturally just want to help and save and fix everybody. And it takes a certain amount of humility to understand, hey, no matter how much I want to save or help or fix this person, I can't, because I'm not God. I'm not God, and people can only help themselves as much as they want to help themselves. But you can set boundaries with people. If you have a friend that constantly clings to you and comes to you for advice and dumps all their problems on you, you can set boundaries with them. Of course, if you want to give advice or share your wisdom or whatever the case is, that's fine. But when it gets to a certain point where you feel overwhelmed by their problems and their issues, that's when you have to take a step back. That's when you have to, separate yourself from that. You have to separate yourself from that. And I feel like you don't even have to tell them, like, hey, I'm setting boundaries with you because I'm an empath, or I'm separating myself. You don't even have to say anything. Some things are better left unsaid. You can simply just distance yourself. Maybe don't text as much as you would usually text. Maybe don't, talk on the phone as long as you would usually talk on the phone. Just distance yourself. I can't even talk today. Just distance yourself. Not to be funny, or treat them differently, but just simply because you want to protect your own energy. Now, if they actually ask, like, hey, what's going on? Why haven't you really talked to me that much? Or why that's when you can say, hey, I love you to death and I empathize with your issues, but at the end of the day, I feel like I'm getting too emotionally involved in your issues, so I have to take a step back. That's all you have to say. Now, if they don't ask what's going on, you don't have to say shit, because like I said, everything doesn't have to be explained. And yeah, so I think that's probably the biggest thing about being an empath and protecting your energy, is to set boundaries with people. And the third way to protect yourself as an empath, and this is not the only way, these are not the only 3 ways to protect yourself as an empath. These are just the 3 ways that I protect myself as an empath, is pretty much to constantly remind myself that I'm not God. Empaths have a strong tendency to want to save people and help people, but you really have to be conscious of the fact and remind yourself of the fact that you're not God. First of all, you're not perfect, so you have shit you need to work on. But also, even if you were perfect, you still are not God. You can't save and heal and fix other people. That's God's job. And that's also the person's job to want to be saved and healed or delivered or whatever the case is. So I feel like it really takes a large amount of humility to accept the fact that, hey, I only have control over myself. I can't save anybody else. I can only save myself. I can only change myself. But yeah, if you guys have any tips or anything that you want to share or express, just feel free to comment below. I would love to have a conversation. And that's it. That's all I have for you all today. So, deuces. Adios.